morning shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight with your award-winning host, Dale Davidson. Dale interviews fascinating guests from top-ranked celebrities to people just like you who have an important story to tell. For more than 15 years, Dale is broadcast every week from the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. He finds the people who really make Las Vegas a one-of-a-kind city and lets the world know just what's happening in this remarkable town. You'll discover why 50 million people visit the entertainment capital of the world every year. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of Las Vegas Tonight.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Thank you for tuning in. What a blessing it is to have you along for the ride. And you're really going to be very, very happy. We're going to talk with a couple of Hollywood types who recently won a film competition here in Las Vegas. And it's going to be shown this coming weekend. And so we hope you get a chance to see it here. And if not, there's going to be other ways to watch it, and we'll get to that. My friend who is the director of the movie, his name is Dale Nevin. I've known him for years. He's a great guy, terrific film man, good Christian man. Dale Nevin, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it very much. So you and I are in media fellowship together, and we see each other at lunch pretty often. And so have club sandwiches and talk about movies.
Yep.
That's what we do. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the Lucky Sevens Film Challenge and what you guys did to win with your movie House in Time.
Okay, well, Ben Stauber, say it right, Stauber, and Jeremy Settles started the Lucky Sevens Film Challenge.
Okay.
And they wanted to, it was during the end of the pandemic, and they wanted to create something where filmmakers could do something, and they decided they wanted to do like the 40-hour film festival.
Sure, I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
But with features.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Yeah.
So they took submissions and then chose 7 of us out of like 33 or something of local Las Vegas filmmakers.
Right.
And the object was to give us $7,000 to shoot a film.
Right.
In 7 days, 7 to 10 days.
Right.
But 7 because it fits in with the Lucky Sevens.
Now, was the script scripted ahead of time, or did you write it after you got the assignment? How did that work?
When we were being interviewed for getting selected, we pitched our story ideas or what we thought we would want to do.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And but it was just an idea, and I think I actually might have pitched a different one at the time. I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And so then a panel decided, or these two guys decided?
I think it was basically Ben and Jeremy that decided, yeah.
Okay. I've known Jeremy for a long time. He's been a filmmaker here in town for years and years. And I admire him for wanting to promote filmmaking in Las Vegas, which is something we've all tried to do for a long time.
Right. Yeah. He's real big on promoting
and helping other people, which is great.
Yep.
So tell us about the process. Well, how did you go about making a movie, a feature-length movie? It's a couple hours long, isn't it?
Right. It's hour 23 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a full-length motion picture. Yeah. How did you shoot and edit and present this thing in a week? That sounds impossible.
Right. Well, we had a week to shoot it in.
Yeah. Okay.
And we had more time for prep and post.
Oh, did you? Oh,
right,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But still, the shooting time was still hard because we did our first 3 days were probably like, which we won't do again, but it was probably like 15-hour days, and then most of our days were 12.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
where did you shoot?
I decided to do my story in one location because I wanted to keep the quality up.
Yeah.
And so I shot all in the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's since it's a time travel story where she crosses through the doorways and goes back into the past, it kind of makes the film feel a little bigger. It doesn't feel claustrophobic because because one reason the house is a little big, and the second reason is because you're kind of dealing with two different time periods.
Yeah. So it's different dimensions.
Right.
I saw in your trailer, which we will put on the show, that she dematerializes and materializes as a young girl on the other side of the door. Isn't that how it works? Kind of.
Yeah, she materializes through the door, but she sees her 8-year-old self laying in her bed.
Oh, okay. That's a really fascinating concept. How did you get the idea?
Well, I was trying to think of an idea that I could do that would be good, that wouldn't be boring.
Yeah.
And it actually came from a blockbuster idea I had, like a big, $200 million movie idea I had.
Yeah, right.
But at the beginning of the story, there were these time travel aspects that were very simple but cool to do.
Yes.
And so that's what gave me the germ of it. And then I came up with the rest of the story from there. And then those first time travel elements I came up with originally didn't even make it into the script. It became something even different than that. But,
oh, really?
So the time travel was the only thing left of the original
idea. Yeah. It's really interesting how ideas first germinate, as you call it, and then they develop, and at the end, there's like, I can't even recognize what happened here, because it's a completely different script. Did you write it all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk about your background a little bit and how you end up being a motion picture director. I'm sure there are a lot of people, we have millions of viewers, who are interested in being a movie maker. How'd you start out?
I started out, from the very beginning was like around 13, I started making Super 8 movies.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And
I remember doing that, yeah.
editing on the film, and the splicing. And,
oh, yeah.
And then eventually went to some college and down in California at Orange Coast College, and they have a good film department. And a lot of people like to go there first and then transfer to USC.
Oh, okay.
And that would have been my goal too, but the grade thing was never my...
The academics for secondary.
Right.
You wanted to get out and shoot.
Especially math, but anyways.
Oh, yeah. So you started shooting right away?
Yeah, we started out in video, and then the next class was 16 millimeter, and we made PSAs and short films, and so that's where it started.
Wow.
And then I was trying to get on some. I had tried for even before that, tried to get on as an intern on some Christian films.
Yes.
Some Christian filmmakers that I knew back then. I mean, not new, but I knew of their movies. I had applied and never got in. But then I started working on. I got into working on some low-budget movies out in L.A.
Right.
Worked at Roger Corman's studio once.
Oh yeah, sure.
It was after that period. It was called New Horizon at that point, but he was still the head of it.
He was the king of low budget, wasn't he? Yeah.
In fact, two little cool things from that. The cinematographer, I didn't find out 2 years later that I was on that movie. He turned out to be Steven Spielberg's cinematographer, became Steven Spielberg's cinematographer, Janusz Kaminski.
Oh, I've heard that name, yeah.
And I didn't realize it till I was at a festival and he was showing his early reels, and he showed some footage from the film we worked on. And I went up to him and he was like, "Oh," he goes, "I thought I recognized you." And so,
oh, that's funny.
So he was way up here and I was still way down here.
Yeah.
So
that's good advice for people who want to get involved in motion picture production, is apply for internships, right?
Yeah, because that's the whole way I started. And down in LA, it's even hard to get in working for free because there's so many people. And I don't know what the situation's like that now in LA, because there's something going on with internships where people can't work for free anymore.
There's a lot.
I don't know what's exactly going on, but internship I think is still a great way, especially in TV. That was my one regret, is I was like, I wish I would have went into TV, because it's so apprenticeship type.
Yeah.
The way the television
almost
industry
everybody
is.
who starts ends up with a full-time job.
Right.
Just because there's openings and people leave and all of that. Yeah. But you had an interest in motion picture film right from go, huh?
Yes, Star Wars. When I saw Star Wars,
that did it.
Yeah,
that did it for you. And special effects, did that really grab you?
It did in a way, but that wasn't the main thing. It was more the imagination, I guess. Even though the special effects carried out that imagination,
Right.
I didn't think as much in terms of special effects, but just the imagination of story and you know.
And so were you writing stories? Were you writing screenplays as a kid?
I did, but it was most of the time it was in my head. I was always writing them. I'd walk around in circles in our backyard and just walking around in
Inventing
circles for
stories.
hours, just
Is that right?
yeah, just visualizing, you know, seeing the world. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I think, pretty common for people who become creatives, whether it's in this industry or advertising or writing, artistic endeavors of one kind or another. But they have a life of imagination when they're young.
yeah,
And you never get out of it, do you?
yeah. Yeah, even into adulthood. Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you learn how to write screenplays? That's a different thing to do.
Yeah, I started with books.
Uh-huh.
The Sid Field book was the big main one back when I started.
Yeah.
And then can't remember exactly where I went from there, but I did get accepted into this program called Act One Writing Program.
I'm familiar with
Right,
that. Yeah.
for Christians who wanted to write for Hollywood.
Yes, yes.
And I applied for that, I think, 2 years, twice. I didn't get in, and then the third time I applied, I got in.
Yes.
And that's the year I didn't think I was going to get in, because I almost didn't turn in my application. And at the last minute, I just finished scribbling it out and sent it in and said, "Oh well, next year," and I
you
got
got
in.
in. Yeah.
And that was an amazing program, because
Tell us what that's like, and who was in charge at the time?
I think it was Barbara Nicolosi.
I remember
She's the one
that.
that started it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And she took creative film and television working producers and screenwriters that were actually working to teach a month-long intensive.
Okay.
And so we went through like 30 days of screenwriting classes and producers talking to us, and there were, long days and assignments. And
Yeah, she was a taskmaster from what I heard, and in a good way.
Right,
I mean,
right.
she really made you work, and she has a pretty impressive resume as a writer herself.
right, the last thing I think she wrote is the Fatima. I'm trying to remember the exact name of it. But it was another
The Catholic thing.
right.
Our Lady of Fatima.
Yeah.
So that's really impressive
Yeah.
that you got through that, and that was really, I imagine, a great springboard for you into motion pictures.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was connections and learned a lot, and I loved that. Sometimes there were even differing opinions. You get one opinion from one writer and another opinion from another
Yeah,
writer,
that's right.
and then you could decide for yourself which
Yeah.
worked for you. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. We'll talk about that more in our final segment.
Okay.
We need to take a brief break. Dale Nevin has been our guest. We're going to have another special guest coming up here in the second segment. We'll let it be a surprise. We'll be back with more on Las Vegas Tonight right after this.
Des, are you having hallucinations?
I think it's the house, childhood memories or something. I'm like having flashbacks. I've been traveling through time. What? It's like a doorway through time.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. We have a very special guest. Her name is Deanna Shapiro, and she worked with Dale Nevin, produced the movie House in Time, and we're going to talk about that. But we're going to start with saying thank you for coming.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
having me.
You're from upstate New York.
I am.
From Seneca Falls.
Yes.
Where was the movie? Was It's a Wonderful Life shot there, or was it written?
It was based off of Seneca Falls.
Bedford Falls.
Bedford Falls, yes.
Merry Christmas, Bedford Falls. It's one of my favorite movies. My son was in Seneca Falls. I don't know why, but he was there. And he took a picture of himself at the bridge, like throwing himself over the bridge.
Yes. I remember those bridges when I was little. They were scary.
Yeah. What was it like growing up in a little town in upstate New York?
To me, it was normal. It was great. Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
We played kickball at, the teachers' homes. So I loved it.
Wow.
Everybody is your cousin.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me about your family.
I have mom, dad, and 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay.
And we all relocated to California 1979, and from there started working in the business, and recently moved to Las Vegas, and mom and dad followed, and a brother followed.
Oh, is that right? That's
Yes,
nice.
So the family's sort of getting out here.
Being gypsies and coming to Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah. What attracted you to the motion picture business?
I started out as an actress. It was something when we moved from New York to California, it was like starstruck, oh my gosh, Hollywood. So mom's like, well, let's give it a try. Got us agents, we auditioned, and just kind of did it from there. Did a bunch of commercials, a couple TV shows, some guest spots, and stuff like that, and then decided, there's a lot of standing around when you're on set and
Boy,
you're
that's
acting.
the truth, yeah.
And so you get to watch other people and see what they're doing, and I was kind of interested in the other people's stuff, and that's when I decided I'm gonna write a script, direct it, produce it, and I took it back to upstate New York called The Legend of Crying Ryan, and
Ryan.
Yep, shot my first feature film, and that's where I learned. Everybody asked, "Did you go to film school?" I'm like, "No, I went to filmmaking boot camp." It's like grab some 35 millimeter short ends, hire some people who actually know what they're doing, and pretend. And that's how I learned the business.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you directed and produced it?
Yes,
Did you write
directed and produced.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. What's happened to that first effort?
It got distribution. It won
Really?
a couple of film festivals. This was a long time ago, 1997, when we actually shot on film.
Wow. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it did well. It was a great learning experience, and I'm definitely proud of it.
Oh, good. And out of nowhere, I don't know how I said this, I started that you mentioned your name, and I said, girls just want to have fun, and I don't even know why that came out of my mouth, and you said, well, that was me. I was in that.
Yep.
Tell me that story.
I am Tune In Tokyo.
Tune In Tokyo.
Yes,
she's famous.
Sorta. The little thing with Jonathan Silverman and myself, and he says, "Hey Tiffany, I want to play a game and the shortwave radio, and put your arms behind your ears and beep beep beep." So that is my Tune In Tokyo.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Do you ever want to act again, or have you had your fill of acting?
I've had my fill. I really like being behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, you're made for that or you're not. And the thing about, it's all tough. The industry is difficult.
Yes.
And we'll delve into that some to help those young people who are thinking about doing this and watching this show. But acting in particular, you mentioned, is just hours and hours of sitting around. It's like being a test pilot. Hours and hours of nothing happening, punctuated by moments of terror.
Yes.
That's kind of it. But yeah, I can see where you're watching people be busy, and 70 or 80 people on a set, and they're all doing something, and they're yelling out stuff to each other. You don't even know what it's about. But it would seem to me to be a kind of a fascinating thing, particularly if you were young.
It is.
Which you were. Did any of your siblings stay in it?
My sister did. She did more acting than me. She's had a couple TV series and stuff like that, and now she is an agent.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
In Hollywood?
In Hollywood.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
What an interesting industry it is. I had a chance to teach at a college in San Diego. It's called John Paul the Great Catholic University. Could that be any longer? JP Catholic, they call it. And it's a small school, but their function or their mission, they believe, is to change the culture of Hollywood by changing who works there. And they recruit students, 60% of them, they're almost all Catholics, but about 60% of them were homeschooled, and they were all interested in motion picture production.
Wonderful.
And editing and directing and acting and animation and gaming even, all these different areas. And you know what? It's working. People are landing jobs, some internships, but some full-time jobs at the studios. And one of the things I learned, I was teaching an MBA class, and they asked me about ethics, and they asked me about morality, and the Me Too thing was going on right then, and I was in the forefront. And I said, are you going to be asked to go beyond your ethical boundaries? Yes, you will. My only advice to you is to be ready with your answer, and stick to it.
Yep.
Did you run into some of that?
I've run into situations where people give me scripts and they're just not, it's just too far out of my comfort zone.
Yeah,
like I want
what
to do
they want
something,
you to do, yeah.
That my mom's okay seeing, that my kids can go to and see. I don't want to do something that, it's like, sorry.
Yeah.
So that's about.
Yeah, that's good that you stand up for yourself in that way. And we don't want to scare people off, but kids in particular, the 18, 19, 20, 21s, getting off the bus in Hollywood is a dangerous thing,
Yeah.
How do you get around that if you're a youngster that is in Seneca Falls, New York, and wants to be a movie star or wants to be a director or whatever? What kind of advice would you give those kids?
Just to be very, very cautious.
Yeah.
If it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
I remember when I was past the acting and in producing, I'd have, girls come up and go, oh, I just auditioned for this huge movie. I think I'm going to get it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, you're so naive. They probably already offered the role to such and such a big star, and you're just filling the quota of how many actors they need to audition. So I think it's definitely a learned business, and it is show business. So they have to realize that, it's an adult world, there's money involved, people need to make money, and, to treat it like a business.
Yeah. Is it better that you're not living in Hollywood now from that standpoint, or does it make it harder?
For what I do, it doesn't matter, because producing is a lot of, in the pre-production, it's a lot of computer work, phone calls, that kind of stuff. And then when we film, we go on location.
Right.
So like I spent the summer in Kentucky doing a TV series for Pure Flix and Sony.
Oh, great.
So pre-production I did from my home in Nevada, went to Kentucky, shot, and then all the post and stuff that I'm needed for, I'm doing from my home here.
Okay.
So for me, being in LA doesn't really matter, because I just kind of go where they need me.
You go wherever
when
you
they need me.
need, yeah.
Yeah, but as for actors, LA is definitely the place to be.
You got to be there.
Yeah,
you got to show up for the auditions.
You have to audition
tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot of it is now on tape, which is great.
Or Zoom.
Yeah. So that helps a little bit.
I've seen that. Now, when you were shooting in Kentucky, were you living in a hotel?
I was.
What was that like?
Well, I actually lived in a mansion.
Really?
Yes, we partnered with Asbury Film School.
I know Asbury Theological Seminary. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so they have what's called the Manor.
Yeah.
And it's basically a mansion.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to stay in one of their suites while I was there.
Oh, that doesn't always happen.
No. I was expecting the little hotel room, but I got lucky. So
yeah. I know about Asbury. A friend of mine also from Media Fellowship that Dale and I talked about in the last segment, works for the college.
Yeah.
And she's a great lady.
Asbury is wonderful. I would definitely recommend, kids looking to get into film.
Yeah.
Wonderful program. And, they're always up to partner with good projects, too.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. Also, Liberty University does that as well. They will partner with filmmakers and flood the area with kids that'll help.
Yep.
Which really does.
It does
help the budget, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's a great way for them to learn. We had a lot of students in our crew who had never been on set.
Yeah.
And Dean Batali was our showrunner, and he did that 70s show.
Yes.
Harry Lennox was the star, the lead in the series, and we had great directors, and so they actually got the experience of working with real Hollywood people in Kentucky. And so, it's great on their resume. They actually got to see how things run.
How long did the shoot take?
We took 6 weeks there.
Yeah.
So we did a couple weeks of prep and then 6 weeks of filming.
And it was a series or a...
It's a new series.
Okay.
The original title is Destination Heaven. It might be changed to My Father's World.
Yeah.
And it should be out summer.
And it's Affirm Films...
Pure Flix, Pinnacle
Pure Flix.
Peak.
Yeah.
And it'll be distributed or streamed through Sony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which... Is David A.R. White still involved?
He is.
With Pinnacle Films now, right?
Yes.
Pinnacle
Peak.
Yeah, I met him also through Media Fellowship.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he had a great story about coming from I forget where, Ohio maybe it was, or Iowa, something like that, and coming out to be an actor. And he got a gig that lasted for years.
Amazing.
Like the first week he was there. And he said he would talk to actors and it's like, what's the problem? You just go audition and you get a job and it lasts for 5 years. No.
No. Where they say it's one job out of 40 auditions is what I heard the odds were.
Oh, God, yeah. I acted for a while and it's so debilitating. Yes. And they talk about you when you're standing there. He looks a little fat to me. What do you think? Do you think he's too fat? I hate purple and he's wearing purple. It's just like
I'm in the room. I can hear you.
You can hear every word you're saying, and you could stop now. Yeah. You mentioned kids. Do you have children?
I have adults. I like to say I have adults, and I have grandchildren. Yes.
Oh, you don't look old enough to have grandkids. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
And so they're proud of mom and grandma?
I think so.
Yeah. Do they really understand what it is you do?
Yeah, they've come to set. When they were young, I had them do commercials. So
I had my kids doing commercials too. Yeah.
Yeah, so they know the business, and they both decided to get out of it. Which I'm glad. I'm so
Are you?
glad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was the same way. I didn't want to stop them from doing it, and I didn't live in LA, so it wasn't as tempting for them.
Right.
But I had producer friends of mine who said, they're just such good-looking kids,
Right.
You really should. And I went, I can't be with them. I got to be making a living. Somebody's got to be watching them constantly. That's stage mothers are wonderful mothers.
Yes.
Yes. They're considered horrible, but they're really not. They really help people.
That's one thing too. When we're looking to cast children, we sort of interview the parents too, because if we're going to be on set and we have to deal with the parents, we have to make sure that they aren't the terrible stage mother.
Yes.
And they're one that's reasonable and rational.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big part too.
Yeah. And they come in every flavor.
Yes.
It's just really, really tragic to see.
Yeah.
We're going to take another brief break. Deanna's going to still be here when we come back, and we're going to add Dale Nevin into this deck of cards, and we're going to talk some more about the movie and how you can watch it and all the rest of everything like that. We'll be back with more in Las Vegas Tonight right after this.
Des, are you having hallucinations?
I think it's the house.
childhood memories or something. I'm like having flashbacks. I've been traveling through time. What? It's like a doorway through time.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. We had two segments, one with the lovely Deanna Shapiro and another with the almost as lovely Dale Nevin, to talk about their motion picture. And we're going to do even more because we got them both.
Yay!
Yay! It's like magic. Our producer, Mr. William C. Young, managed to light this thing so it looks like it's really a good thing. See that? Bellagio.
No rain.
That's amazing. Magic of television. So, tell me a little bit about being a producer on this movie. What did you have to do?
A lot.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because there weren't that many people, were there?
There weren't. I remember Dale called me and he goes, "Hey, I'm in this film challenge. We have 7 days to shoot a movie on $7,000. Do you want to help?" And I was like, I have no idea how to do that.
That's right.
I was like, wait.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But yeah, I did a lot. Dale, fortunately, was focused on his script and he knew the story. And you know, we had a great cast, we had great crew for the number we had.
Yes.
And everybody just filled in. I helped with sets, I helped with producing, I helped with wherever needed. That's kind of what the producer does.
Wow,
So
yeah. The producer, I've had a good friend of mine, Rick Eldridge, who is a Christian producer. He's done a lot of different things, and he said his definition of being a producer is the last point of blame.
yes, yes.
So he says if there's a guy on set who's sitting there with maybe headphones on or maybe not, drinking coffee and staring into the middle distance, that's the producer, and chances are things are going okay. If the same guy is running around from person to person and getting in his car and flying off, then he's at the last point of blame.
Yep.
It's a tough job.
It's a tough job. I like to tell people I'm like a firefighter. I run around all day just trying to solve problems and put out fires.
Yeah. And did she do a good job of that?
Oh yeah, awesome. There's a show called The Offer about the making of The Godfather, and the guy's a producer, and he'd met this girl and she didn't know what he did, and she watched him on set and she goes, "I know what you do. You're a problem solver." But no, she did beyond what a producer normally even does, because she had to, like she said, fill in with any place where we were lacking or have big or small holes. She couldn't have got it done without her.
She knew everything because she'd done every job. You know,
that's how you learn.
Yeah, that is how you learn. Yeah. That's how it happened with me with television. Just showed up one day with a broom and started, and the next thing you know, you're general manager. Eventually you do everything, and then you kind of pick where you belong. You know, do you like being a producer more than anything else?
I do.
Do you?
I do. I like the stress of it. Almost. Hey, I can do this.
Air traffic control.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. And do you like being a director more than anything else? I know you also write and you do other things, but
right. I'm trying to think. It's writing, directing. Both of those are love-hate relationships for me.
Right.
Things I love about directing and things I maybe hate, and there's things I love about writing and things I hate, and they just like the best way is the agony and the ecstasy.
And that's the way it looks, and that's the way it works, isn't it? Let me ask you about the future, both of you, and where you want to go. Ladies first, Deanna. Where do you want to end up? What kind of movies do you want to make? What kind of statements are important to you to make in motion pictures?
I want to make wholesome, good family entertainment. I think there's a definite need for that. Something that I could bring my grandkids to and buy a bucket of popcorn and we have a good day.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That to me is it. And fortunately, I've gotten to the point where I can be selective in the scripts I choose to do and the projects.
Right.
So those are the ones I'm looking for.
Oh, that's really good to hear. I'm really glad to hear that. Hollywood has always been a challenge in a lot of different ways. Cecil B. DeMille had a great quote where he said, "What we as producers need to understand is that the decisions we make at our desks in Hollywood are going to have an impact around the world." And he's right. And I wonder about the agenda, when we see what has happened to Disney, for example. There's been a subterranean motive or motives to purvey some things that are really pretty evil in the minds of kids. Do you feel that this is also something you want to do, is the wholesome entertainment?
In a way, I don't know if it'd be the exact term. The main thing right now with usually my stories are kind of about characters who becoming the person they were created to be, no matter what their past has been or what has happened to them or what mistakes or problems they have now, that they can still always become the person that they were, that God created them to be. That's a major thing right now.
Redemption stories.
Yeah, and also giving. Well, I'm trying to think because I haven't fully achieved that yet, but maybe in the future of giving people hope that no matter what their life's like, it's never too late to turn things around.
That's a great goal to have. That's a wonderful goal to have. Do you guys know the road you're going to need to travel to get to the point where you're making $100 million Christian movies that people can't wait to see?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a very tough road.
Yeah.
Still, for me, I'm still figuring out how to make money. This is only my second film, but how to make a living at least.
Yeah. That's it's a real conundrum, particularly with Christian movies. My friend Rick that I mentioned to you, he almost never calls his movies Christian movies because there's a
stigma. Or whatever.
Stigma,
Yeah.
And what that stigma is not enough money, I think, so the production values are not what they should be. Yet at the same time, our audience, our Christian audience, really doesn't turn out the way they should, and to support motion pictures that talk to them, that talk about their faith, that covers how important it is to have a strong family. Any solutions there, guys? What do we do about that?
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking part of the problem was...
I don't know either, by the way.
Is that sometimes Christians get fed up with Hollywood, and then even if something good does come out, they're just like...
I'm not going to see the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's just one of those things.
Which is pretty short-sighted when you think about it. Father Stu, did you happen to see that one?
Actually, I went with...
Yeah.
You guys went together?
Yeah.
What did you think of that motion picture?
It was wonderful.
What did you think?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was very what's the word? Very heavy, with the dealing with suffering. But yeah. And now he lives out here, Mark Wahlberg, I guess.
Yeah, and he's given us some hope. We were talking about it at our media fellowship luncheon that he says he wants to turn this into Hollywood 2.0 and do wholesome motion pictures.
Wonderful.
Right. Wouldn't that be great? And maybe that's the solution. We just got to have, one person who attracts others, to make movies that people will turn out and see. The rating system is broken, I think. Do you agree with that? Mm-hmm. It doesn't tell us exactly what it is we should encourage our kids to see, and the subterranean motives, I keep calling them, are not covered by, whether it's PG or PG-13 or R or whatever it is. So it's tricky, as a parent, as a grandparent, it's tricky.
It
Right.
is.
What do you let them go see?
Right, because in a G-rated movie, you could have bad message, like you're talking about with Disney. You could have, it could be G-rated, but there could be, because it fits under that, you could still have something that's not good in there.
Yeah, I know, and that indeed does happen. So if you were given $100 million, okay, I'm just using that number because that's a good number for a big motion picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, make anything you want to make. What would you make? What would the story be?
Oh, I have a wonderful idea, but I can't tell you because I don't want someone to steal it.
Okay.
Because I haven't written anything
Yeah.
down. But yeah.
When you've registered it with WGA, come back on and
Yes.
talk about it.
Yes.
But is it a wholesome family entertainment kind of movie?
I wouldn't say wholesome family entertainment, but it is a biblical story from a different perspective.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. More I think relatable to people, bringing it into where we are now in the world.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know more about that. Have you guys? I'll stop and ask you the same question. If they gave
great.
you $100 million and said, "We believe in you, Dale. Don't waste this money."
I don't know because the only $100 million idea I have right now is the one I told you about, the time travel
Right.
that I took the story from.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing I think of right now, off the top of my head.
Yeah. So you're going to get it one of these days. Pitching movies. Do you do a lot of pitching, or do you?
I don't.
You're just on the other end. You're on the receiving end. Pitching movies is difficult, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and that's one skill I'm still speaking, and pitching are skills where I still need to level up more.
Yeah. That was one of the things I taught when I was teaching that MBA in producing classes. How to build a pitch deck and how to communicate to people. And there's who's to say what I know, but watching other people do it who are very successful at it, I've learned a lot. And enthusiasm is such an important part of it. It's just astonishing how important that is. And if you can bring people along who are excitable, or excited about what you're doing, you can get some money sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Pitching
great.
to me is storytelling, and if you have someone
Yes.
who's a good storyteller,
Yes.
they can do pitches.
Yeah.
Right, and the same skills for like writing are not the same skills for verbally
Right.
Yeah.
pitching.
Yeah. They're different people.
Yeah.
Or different parts of your brain.
Right.
And it's going on every day at the Beverly Hills Hotel. So if you get a seat nearby, and listen to how it works, because they'll wave their hands around and talk about it, and it's such and such meets so and so.
All right.
The Chosen. Have you been watching The Chosen?
I did watch the first season, and
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. How about
Yeah.
you? Are you watching it?
I've watched the first season. They're on it's the second season now,
They're
right?
on the third season.
Oh, third. Okay,
They're
so
on,
behind.
episode number 5.
My brothers kept up on all of them. He went to the theater to see the first one.
Yeah,
or
and
two
they're
that
doing
they-
it again for the next season. They're going to have a 2-night thing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But when I went to the Act One program, I'm blanking on his name right now. It's almost
Dallas
there.
Jenkins?
Jenkins. Dallas Jenkins. He had talked at Act One time. That was before he'd got actually into the film. I think he was still doing some type of youth thing, and he wanted to get into film.
Yeah.
And then I've heard about his struggles along the way, and then he finally, with The Chosen, just hit that.
He is changing the way motion pictures are financed and distributed.
Yep.
It's astonishing. And he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Jerry Jenkins' son. Do you know who Jerry is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm amazed at what he's accomplished. The fact that they're the largest crowd-funded project in history is astonishing to me.
Yep.
And I can hardly wait. I always wait. And then watch it at a certain time at night when it's really quiet and no one's going to interrupt me. I love that show.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You know, is that sort of what you're going to do? See me trying to get to this. Yeah, and Mel Gibson is finally gonna start rolling in 2023.
Yes.
That'll be something to see. There's an example that we can all learn from, but he had $60 million, which a lot of us don't have. But you know what a groundbreaking thing he did with the Passion of the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spent 60, made 450 million or something, and it was just an astonishing movie. I sat there with my mouth hanging open each time I saw it.
Right.
You know, just so much going on in that movie. That'd be something to work on, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'll PA.
That's right. We're not too proud.
And it's amazing the critics that said stuff about the violence in the Passion, yet they never say anything about the other movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that is totally, it has no redeeming social value whatsoever. Right. Let's talk about your movie before we wrap up. We're about to wrap up. Where can we see it? How can we get it? If they're not here this coming weekend, can they watch it some other way? So tell us.
Yes. No.
Okay.
Yes. So it's for those who catch this at all, wherever, before January 20th to 22nd, which is very soon as of our taping, is our theatrical run in Vegas at the Galaxy Theater Boulevard Mall.
Right.
And showings all day.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if anyone sees it before that, I encourage you to come out, and all of our proceeds are going to the Parkinson's Foundation, the Friends of Parkinson's. That's great. And if you don't live here or you see this later, the best way is to go to houseInTimeFilm.com.
Okay.
And if they go there, there'll be a newsletter pop up, and we'll keep updates. And especially if they sign up for the newsletter, they'll get noticed when it's released on digital video.
Okay. And hopefully theatrical release elsewhere.
Yes, we'll see where it progresses from here. Yeah.
And it's, say the website again.
houseInTimeFilm.com.
Okay, great. Thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Deanna.
Thank you.
Dale. Love your name. Love your name too. Wow. Great guests, huh? Motion picture people. This is what they actually look like in real life. And they're wonderful people. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your watching Las Vegas Tonight. As I try to say each and every episode of Las Vegas Tonight, when it comes to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, please walk with him. God bless you. Thanks for watching.
Des, are you having hallucinations?
I think it's the house, childhood memories or something. I'm like having flashbacks. I've been traveling through time. What?
It's like a doorway through time.
Mama said they're not the kind a young girl should be hanging around. Don't throw your life away. on those fools and their foolish games. Baby had her own mind, just couldn't see the hands of time, or the hand that fate would deal to a little girl in a world that's real. Baby said I won't let go, and I won't give them up. I won't stop till I've had enough. This is my life, my chance to fly. Baby learned that mama was right after lonely days and long cold nights. Baby was a mama now. She saw her child with that same crowd. As mama left the world behind, her words echoed in baby's mind. Keep your head up high, keep on looking to a brighter sky. Mama said don't let go, and don't give up. Don't stop till you've done it right. This is your life, your chance to fly. Mama said don't let go, and don't give up. Don't stop till you've done it right. This is your life, your chance to fly. Don't let go, and don't give up. Don't stop till you've done it right. This is your life, your chance to fly.
Across the ages, humanity is often gathered in prayer, especially in times of crisis and need. It's a natural response, but who are we speaking to? Is prayer merely a platitude or emotional cliche?
Yahoo!
Or is there a God on the other end of the line? And if so, can we speak to him? And what is he saying? What exactly is prayer? Theologian John Piper describes prayer as intentionally conveying a message to God. He also outlines 3 main approaches to prayer, which each depend on how you view God. If your perspective is that God is in everything and everything is God, including you, me, the sunrise, the humpback whale, the smoke lightly wafting from a sun. Well, you get the picture. Prayer from this perspective is all about connecting with the divinity within us and around us. The only problem is that if we are part of God, prayer can feel like a one-sided conversation. If you feel like God exists, but he's distant and unapproachable, then prayer can become about developing special techniques or higher levels of devotion and holiness in order for our words to reach God's ears. Hello. Or we just give up trying. However, when you read the Christian Bible, God shows himself not to be distant or silent, but to be personable, accessible, and a creator who speaks. In the creation story, we see him literally speak each created thing into existence, as if to open an external conversation with his creation. Howdy. And throughout the Bible, he consistently speaks to humanity. So if God speaks, how do we speak to him? A big part of God's conversation with humanity was the person of Jesus, who God sent to earth as the human manifestation of himself.
Thank you very much.
So that he could talk to us directly. The Bible literally refers to Jesus as the Word, God's Word, and he gave a direct answer when his friends asked him about how to speak to God. Jesus says prayer is simply and honestly talking to God. If something is on your mind, if there's a situation where you don't know what to do, you can talk to God about it. You don't have to pray in a church, and you don't have to sound religious. God loves you and wants you to be real with him. You can pray out loud. You can pray silently. He listens wherever and whenever. So how do we hear God? God's voice is described in the Bible as a still, small voice. Many people hear back from God by quieting the noise around them and pausing to listen. Or by reading the Bible, which God also calls His Word. The more you talk with someone, the more you get to know who they are. The God who speaks has started the conversation. If you haven't spoken in a while, why don't you try to pick it up again? It could change your life.
Hi, I'm Dale Davidson, host of Las Vegas Tonight. You know, radio has an enduring place in the heart of America. Sometimes it's music that can enliven your spirit or keep you company when you need some. More often for me, it's just been the right spoken word or two that can quiet my mind and soul. Radio brings me a reassuring word in the quiet of night or a welcoming voice early in the morning as I shake off the night's sleep and find my way into God's purpose for my day. And always, I find the best radio station is the one that brings me the best news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. My favorite radio station is KKVV in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's still right where it's been for years, at 1060 on the AM dial, hovering over Sin City like a gospel airship, broadcasting the good news of the abounding love that Jesus Christ has for every single one of us. No matter who you are or where you live, you can receive God's Word via the KKVV Gospel Airship. Just go to kkvv.com and click on Listen Live. KKVV is using all the tools that God's provided them, like podcasting and video streaming and video on demand, to produce programs that lift up our fellow believers and save the lost. If you feel a calling to speak to others about Jesus Christ on your very own show, pick up the phone and call the station. They'll be happy to tell you how. Call KKVV today at 702-731-5588 or drop them an email at kkvvradio@hotmail.com. Please join me in becoming part of the KKVV family. You'll be glad you did.
Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with your host, Dale Davidson. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of our show. We so appreciate your loyalty to our program. To keep Las Vegas Tonight on the air, please go to our website, vegassaints.org, and click the Donate button. To send a check or money order, please make it out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries and mail it to 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To suggest a guest to appear on the show or any other suggestions or questions, write to Dale at dalewdavidson@yahoo.com or call him at 702-480-3989.